Hey everyone, welcome to part 2 of this series where I discuss how Anakin's character arc is a dark twist on Luke's character arc. So in the last video, I talked about how similar Anakin and Luke's beginnings are in Phantom Menace and A New Hope, and how their character arcs are beginning to form. In that video we saw how their ghosts, their wants, and their lies were developed. So in this video, I'll be discussing how their arcs continue in Attack of the Clones and Empire Strikes Back. Everything that led to the success of Luke and Anakin in the first two movies will work against them in this movie. Their wants and their lies are about to be challenged. Now let's get into it. In Attack of the Clones and Empire Strikes Back, Lucas once again has them starting off with similar mindsets. When New Hope and Phantom Menace ended, Luke and Anakin were still attached to their lie, that might makes right, and if they can become more powerful, they can save more people. But this lie makes them reckless and impatient, and this is where their need comes into play. They need to learn patience and to understand their limits. That going off instinct isn't always the best way of doing things. However, while the character starts off in similar mindsets, the context around them is very different, almost polar opposite. Luke starts off Empire Strikes Back as an untrained Jedi that desperately wants a master to teach him the ways of the Force, trying to fulfill that lie of becoming more powerful to help more people, while Anakin starts off Attack of the Clones as a trained apprentice who is desperately trying to get away from his master, Obi-Wan. While he clearly respects Obi-Wan, he also believes he should be promoted and that Obi-Wan isn't being fair.
He never listens. He doesn't understand. It's not fair.
If you remember in the previous video, I mentioned how Qui-Gon was Anakin's father figure, and that Obi-Wan promised Qui-Gon that he would train Anakin due to Qui-Gon dying. But the thing is, he's more like an older brother that can't quite give the emotional support that Anakin clearly needs. Again, bringing back that resentment and anger Anakin started developing towards the Jedi in Phantom Menace when they briefly threatened his wand. Something Obi-Wan clearly hasn't helped him with in any way. Just look at the way he talks to him.
We will not go through this exercise again, Anakin. And you will pay attention to my lead. We will do exactly as the Council has instructed. Be mindful of your thoughts, Anakin. They betray you.
Next time, try not to lose it.
Never with a notion of understanding, just a firm, authoritative voice. Again, something Luke doesn't really get in his movies. His mentors are actually really nice to him. But we'll get to that in a second. First, I want to talk about two scenes. So do you remember at the end of New Hope, Luke trusts his feelings, believes in himself, and he's able to destroy the Death Star, and becomes a legend? Well, a similar situation happens in Empire, but slightly different. Instead of the rebels attacking, it's the Empire striking back. And instead of being the hero, Luke doesn't save the rebels. Instead, he gets his gunner killed and crashes into the snow, leaving others to fight the Empire. Granted, he takes down one of the walkers with a bomb, but still, nowhere near as close as to what he did in the previous movie. While Anakin fails to catch the assassin trying to kill Senator Amidala, his childhood crush. Much like Luke, he's being reckless and impulsive and not properly thinking about his actions. Obi-Wan is the one to catch the assassin in the end, and gives Anakin a condescending lecture. Already, their need is coming into play. Later on in Empire, we see Luke when he's training with Yoda. He fails at most of his tasks, due to his impatience and arrogance. Both Yoda and Obi-Wan are there to appeal to Luke and Anakin's need. However, the key difference being, while Luke only has Yoda with him to appeal to his need, Anakin has another character in his life who appeals to his want, making Obi-Wan's lessons harder to follow. Chancellor Palpatine. Anakin and Palpatine only share one scene together in this movie, but trust me, it's very important. This conversation here is why it's so hard for Obi-Wan to get through to Anakin. In it, Palpatine tells Anakin,
"In time you will learn to trust your feelings. Then you will be invincible."
the complete opposite lesson that the Jedi teach him. He also speaks to him in a far friendlier and more comforting manner than the Jedi. He talks to him like an actual person, while the Jedi talk to him the way a teacher would lecture or even scold a misbehaving child. Palpatine is basically filling that void that Qui-Gon left, and that Obi-Wan is failing to fill, even giving him the exact same advice. Qui-Gon phrases his advice as if to say, "You have the potential for greatness." Palpatine phrases his as, "You already are great, and you're probably better than others," playing on his resentment towards authority figures that we saw in Phantom Menace. And because of this, Anakin finds Palpatine's advice far more appealing than Obi-Wan's. And this is very different to Luke, who only has Yoda to talk to. They're a lot nicer to him than they were to Anakin, probably learning from their mistakes, but they're still honest with him. constantly trying to appeal to his need. He doesn't have that devil on his shoulder to appeal to his want and feed his ego. It's this advice that helps fuel his conflict throughout the movie, whether he should act on his feelings towards Padme. Throughout the movie, Anakin is met with a crisis of whether to remain loyal to his oath as a Jedi or to follow his feelings and pursue a relationship with Padme, the woman he's loved since he was 9. Moving on, and this conflict within Anakin highlights how much he becomes attached to the people close to him and how he's unable to properly see past his own desires.
Will be expelled from the Jedi Order! I can't leave her!
While Luke does have a romantic interest in Princess Leia, let's not get into that. It's not used to the extent that Anakin and Padme are used, but it's still a way to show just how attached both characters are to the people they love and how far they're willing to go for them. Speaking of which, unfortunately, both characters abandon what they're doing to rush and help the people they love due to a vision they had of them suffering. Luke abandons his training with Yoda to help his friends on Cloud City, and Anakin abandons his mission to take a romantic holiday on Naboo to go and save his mum. Both believe that they're ready and that they'll succeed in their mission. I mean, following their instincts did wonders for them in the last movie, so surely it'll work again. But things don't really go according to plan. Their lies are about to meet reality. As soon as Luke gets to Cloud City, he walks directly into a trap and is forced to square up against Vader. Color palette of the entire scene goes from a soft blue to a harsh red to show how the situation's been flipped on its head in Vader's favor. But by believing because he's a Jedi, the epitome of good, that he will defeat Vader, the epitome of evil. He believes Vader is underestimating him, but as the fight goes on, he begins to see that he's clearly outmatched, and Vader just beats the shit out of him, completely flying in the face of his lie. And then the cherry on top of this horrific sundae is revealed.
No, I am your father.
And now Luke's want and the lie that he believes are shattered. He realizes that he's dedicated himself to becoming a Jedi just like his father, who Obi-Wan has described as a good man, but now he sees what his path will truly lead him to become. If he continues the way he does, he will become like Vader. His belief in how the difference between good and evil being pretty clear-cut is now gone. Because if his father can become someone as evil as Vader, then where's the line? Maybe there's more to it than just being black and white. Culminating with him willingly rejecting Vader's hand, falling down a shaft, and having to be rescued by the very people he went to rescue in the first place. Seriously, watch the movie again. Luke doesn't contribute at all to Leia and the gang escaping the Empire. Anakin, on the other hand, has a fairly different experience. He goes to Tatooine to rescue his mum, but when he gets there, he finds out she's been missing for over a month, and when he finds her in a Tusken camp, she has but minutes to live. And even though Anakin pleads with her to stay with him, she dies in his arms. Something he believed he could stop, completely flying in the face of his lie. Just like Luke, he's failed. But unlike Luke, instead of letting go of his lie, he clings onto it even harder, believing he is powerful and he is capable. But why wasn't he powerful enough to save his mum? Perhaps it's because he's being told to ignore his instincts by a certain group of people. The Jedi, the ones who have been telling him to be patient and to think before he acts. He blames Obi-Wan, who told him not to act on his nightmares about his mother. He couldn't save her because of them, and it can only be because he's just so powerful that they're envious and are willingly trying to hold him back. Anakin's lie has now become even stronger. This of course angers him, and in that anger he snaps and goes apeshit on the Tusken camp, wiping everyone out.
They're like animals, and I slaughtered them like animals. I hate them.
He now completely trusts his own instincts and his own desire to become more powerful, because if he can become more powerful, he can save more people, even though that causes him more pain than he realizes. We see this later on in the film. He goes with Padme to save Obi-Wan and gets captured.
Good job.
He ignores Obi-Wan and charges Count Dooku, who electrocutes him. He fights Dooku alone without Obi-Wan and loses an arm. And yet he still can't see how much his lie is truly hurting him, because it's obviously the Jedi's fault for why he's so weak, and not himself.
He's jealous. He's holding me back.
Dude. So while these movies begin with Luke and Anakin having similar mindsets, They basically end with both of them learning different lessons. Luke learning not to dive in head first, that the universe isn't as black and white as he thought, and that patience is just as key to winning as well as instinct. And we can see that at the end of the movie, where he's actually making a plan to save Han from Jabba the Hutt. Even though it's a very slow plan. Luke, you learned patience a little too well, could you maybe pick up the pace? On the other side of the coin, Anakin has learned to completely trust his instincts and to pursue greater power, to not follow the orders of his superiors, holding on to the lie that might makes right. The movie ends with Anakin secretly marrying Padme, completely going against the Jedi code, giving into his instincts and feelings. The animated show Clone Wars is full of examples of this. In that show, Anakin constantly goes against orders in favor of his instincts, backing up his character arc in the movies. So now, while these two go through similar trials and come out with similar scars, they have both come out of it taking completely different paths. Hey everyone, thank you for watching. If you liked this video, then give it a like to show me that you liked it, and I can create more content just like this. This is part 2 in a 3-part series about Luke and Anakin's character arcs, so subscribe if you want to catch the final video in this series. Thanks for watching, don't forget to hit that bell icon for more notifications, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day.